Hey there, everyone. Adam Bro back here with you again with a couple of thoughts that I would like to share with you. A couple things that I've been chewing on as of late. I am a functional nutritionist, personal trainer, holistic health coach, life coach in a sense. I've been a pastor for years, and I've worked in the nonprofit space, church space for many decades. And as a nutritionist and personal trainer, I work a lot with people in the nonprofit space because I want to try to help people who feel called to a very positive work to be able to do that work for as long as possible and thrive as they do it. So if that's you and you're looking for a coach, would love to talk with you. Would love to hear about your story, hear what really gets you motivated, hear what you really feel like you are called to do, and see if we can find a way to improve your health, reclaim your health, or simply just have a strategy to keep you healthy for the long term. So I really appreciate anybody who gives their life to help other people, and I want to do my best to help you continue to do that. One thing I've been thinking about lately and I've been chewing on, and I deal with this with clients a lot of times, is there's a couple of thoughts, is habits, like how do we develop habits, what are habits, and then recognizing seasons in our lives. I'm kind of spitballing here, and I'm shooting from the hip a little bit, but the big thing is I have worked with people for many years and have noticed that people have what I'm going to call a event-driven mentality rather than a process-driven mentality, and that'll get into habits and seasons in just a second. Event-driven mentality is like, hey, I need to start this diet because I want to get to this place, or no matter what's going on in life, they're always trying to start something new, like some type of crash diet or reset diet or detox. And they're not ever really looking at their habits and or the season that they are in. They're simply thinking of things in terms of event, not process. One of the things I try to do with clients is to get them to start thinking in terms of process rather than event, because at the end of the day, your life is one long road. It's a journey, and it is a series of events which creates process. So you're kind of traveling down this road where there's always these eventualities. There's turnoffs here and turnoffs there. There's an accident there. I have to go around. There's detours. There's delays. And when you are event driven, you almost never have a strategy for when the detours come, when the one-off trip comes, and now all of a sudden, all your planning, diet, and prepping and everything just goes out the window. People don't have a plan for whenever a baby comes along or there's a tragedy in the family. And, you just kind of throw everything to the wind, and next thing you know, you find that it's been 6 months and you're just now realizing that, I've gained like 15 pounds and I haven't been training and I haven't really been taking care of myself. All the while you needed to be taking care of yourself because life is always happening, and being capable never goes out of season. Being capable never goes out of style. And the demand upon capability, physically, mentally, emotionally, is always there. So it's not something we get to just take a hiatus from. Being prepared, there's something when you get into the fitness world, CrossFit kind of brought this terminology many years back. For any of those of you who are CrossFitters, you'll recognize it. The term is General Physical Preparedness. Okay, GPP is what you call it. And a general physical preparedness is basically having a foundation of fitness that allows you to venture into more specific forms of fitness. Okay, this would be like the ability just to put on a weight vest and walk for an hour, or do a basic workout, push-ups, pull-ups, and move your own body weight pretty well for, more than a few minutes and not be wrecked afterwards. If you have that general physical preparedness, then your capacity is at such a point that it allows you to get into more specific forms of training or more intense forms of training. So if we think about this in terms of life, if you don't have a general physical preparedness, an ability physically to perform well when sleep deprived, to perform okay in stressful situations, to react physically with confidence if there is some type of physical altercation, or you're in a car accident, or God forbid, you're being mugged, or whatever, there are physical demands that are general to life. And if you don't have a basic physical preparedness, you are not ready for what life has for you. Okay. Like, I watch people move around. Let's say, like, you go to the mall. Who goes to the mall anymore, right? But let's just say you do. You're a boomer. You're a boomer and you go to the mall. Okay. If you watch people move, just how well they move, how well they walk, how well they dodge other people. Like, I was just in New York with my good friend Wayne Francis, and we got off the subway. I'm not gonna lie, we got off the subway. We rode the train for like an hour, and then we got off and we walked another 20 minutes to this great steakhouse where we're gonna eat. But if we really think about that journey, I was dodging people the whole time. I'm dodging cars, taxis, 100%. There's crowds, there's people with dogs, there's trash bags, and I'm having to maneuver my way through here while keeping up with someone else. And if you watch other people try to do that, you can tell it's labor intensive for them. They don't move well. They're heavy-footed. They're overweight, and they're getting out of breath. You would see some people having to sit down and just sit on a bench and just take a break while they're moving to go shopping. Just take a break so they can finish shopping. If you don't have a general physical preparedness, you're not going to be able to perform in life in general. You're not going to be ready for what life throws at you. And unfortunately, in our culture today, the majority of us are just not prepared for life. We're not. Okay. And when it comes to your health and fitness, the only way to really maintain a general physical preparedness is through your habits and having a process-oriented mentality, not event-driven mentality. And the way you use habits is you realize you're always creating habits. You're either creating habits that move you towards where you want to be, or you're creating habits that stall you and move you away. If you decide you're not going to go, let's say, work out. If I have clients who miss more than a week of training, it's more difficult for them to start again because they have created the habit of missing training. Not, I just didn't train. No, you created a habit of that now. And now you have to rectify that. You have to switch directions on that. So creating habits and then protecting those habits at all cost. So the habits that move me towards my goals must be protected and reinforced regularly. I have been lifting weights and training in some form for 30 plus years. Okay, I started when I was 14. I skateboarded and mountain biked. I did trick bikes. I did all kind of stuff. Played basketball, did karate when I was younger, but I started lifting weights when I was 14. And I have not taken more than 6 months off from training since I was 14. The one time I took 6 months off because I just had some injuries. And even to this day, I still have to reinforce the habit of training. I still have to make sure that if I'm traveling, that I find a way to get a workout in. It doesn't have to be all the workouts. Doesn't even have to be a great workout, but it does have to happen. That habit must be reinforced. And then when let's say I'm eating out, do I kick my heels up sometimes and just go nuts? Of course. Everybody, who doesn't, right? Why train so hard if you're not going to have fun? I ate like a blueberry lemon scone yesterday, and somebody said, "I'm really surprised that you ordered that." And I'm like, well, first of all, it's delicious. Second of all, what good is it to be super strict and train all the time and be prepared to not have fun, right? That's not me. I'm strict enough. I need to have some fun. But there is this sense that habits must always be reinforced. And if you fail to reinforce them positively, you will start to reinforce them in a negative way. You will create a new habit. So when people say, "Oh, I just turned 30 and my metabolism slowed down." First of all, no, it didn't. Okay? The studies show that your metabolism slows down minimally, probably less than 10% after the age of 65. But what did happen was your habits around activity changed greatly, because now you got a real person's job, you got a mortgage, you got insurance, you got kids, and you got real stress. So your habits changed. Okay? So your metabolism didn't change. Your habits did. And your habits affected the way you feel. Okay? So by not training, by taking on all these other maybe new hobbies or letting these other things get in the way, you created a habit of not taking care of yourself. It's very common. We all do it. But if you will have a process-oriented mindset, what you can do is, when you have events happen, when you have things happen, and let's say you have a period in your life where you create some really great habits around exercise, around food, you're choosing better, making better choices. Maybe you track your calories, maybe you don't. But you're making better choices and you're seeing progress to where you want to be. And then all of a sudden, summer comes. Your kids are out of school. They're at home with you. They're driving you nuts. And you're like, "I'm just trying to work, man." Like, I work from home. My wife works from home. So we're constantly day planning for our daughter, okay? Most people get completely thrown off by that because they don't have a plan for reinforcing their habits. So what do? Do I continue just to say, "No, I'm going to work out the same amount of time. I'm going to eat the same exact way"? No, things changed. So I might lighten up on the workouts. I might even loosen up a little bit on my diet, but I'm still reinforcing the habits lightly. I'm going to the gym. I'm doing some jujitsu here and there. And I'm still trying to make the best choices I can no matter how busy I am. Why? Because going backwards is just as easy as moving forward. Okay? So just maintaining the habit is easy. But coming back, like moving forward once I've gone in reverse, is a lot harder. So rather than having this event mindset, the process is, no matter what's going on, I am reinforcing these habits. I'm reinforcing these positive habits and mindsets in my life so that I have a general sense of preparedness, a general physical preparedness for when life throws me curveballs, okay? Or when there's a detour, or there's a wreck in the road, or whatever. I am ready so I can adjust but continue to move forward, okay? I was talking to someone the other day, and they were talking about how they needed to start over and reset their diet and reset their habit. And I'm like, you don't need to reset. What you need to do is you just need to make it a lifestyle that you train. And it's a habit for you to train. What kind of training? Doesn't matter. What is the habit? The habit is the execution, not how you execute. Okay? It's the execution itself. It's the pulling of the trigger that is the habit. So it doesn't matter how it manifests itself. If you're like, I like to lift weights, but today all I have time for is a walk. Well, pull that trigger, go for a walk, and reinforce the habit that you are a healthy person and you're trying to have a general sense of preparedness of health for life. Okay? Doesn't matter what the season is. Doesn't matter what the goal is. If you will continue to reinforce the habit itself, it will always continue to carry you forward. It's when we only think in terms of 12-week blocks or, detoxes for 6 weeks, and then you go back to what you were, that this kind of bleeds into the other part of dieting, which is most people who, let's say, who are obese, will lose the majority of people, something like 70 or 80% of people who are obese will lose a significant portion of weight in some time in their life. Okay. Like going from being obese and losing a bunch of weight. They will do this. And all of them, it seems, the studies are showing, will gain the weight back. Why? Or the majority of them will gain the weight back. Why? Because it was an event, not a process. A process would say, I'm going to lose this weight. And then once the weight is off, what's next? What's next is keeping it off. And how do we do that? We do that through the good habits that we ingrained during the weight loss phase. Okay? Having a plan is part of a process. Not having a plan is event driven. Okay? So when you have this situation in your life where you're trying to get healthy, you're trying to get stronger, if you don't have a plan or next steps on how to continue that forward momentum, it's just an event. And it's only going to change your life temporarily. And then the next season that comes along that shakes you up is going to completely derail you. Okay? So let's shift mindset from event to process. From habit, like get into our habits rather than a checklist. Like I have to do this. No, these are the things I need to do in order to move forward, okay? So that I have a general sense of preparedness, a general physical preparedness with my health, with my mindset, with my body in general, so that I can handle what life throws at me, all right? So let me encourage you. If you're the kind of person who skips from diet to diet to diet to diet, you're event driven. You have to think of a way, you have to find someone to help you or start pursuing your health as a process, not as an event. If your goal is to simply just lose weight so you can continue to eat like a slob, sorry, I don't want to offend anybody with that, but I eat like a slob if I'm not careful. I really do. I eat like I'll go crazy. But the goal is not to lose weight so that you continue your bad habits that got you into the place where needing to lose weight was a thing. Losing weight is one step of a process of health. And then the next step is, how do I keep that weight off? And then how do I gain my strength? And then how do I reinforce these habits so I stay healthy for a long period of time, not event to event to event. Okay, if your weight is fluctuating magnitudes, like 10, 20%, 10, 15% over months and years, it's just fluctuating back and forth. That's not a process. That is just a roller coaster, and there's not much positive progress when it comes to that because you're constantly having to reset. If your weight has been stable, you lost weight or you put on some muscle mass or whatever, and you were able to maintain it through healthy habit and even loose habits, then I would say that's a very good process-oriented way to do things. And that is the goal, because at the end of the day, all of us want to be as healthy as long as we can, because we want to be around those we love for as long as we can. And we want to make the decline that comes at the end of age as steep as possible. We don't want to drag out the decline, which is what most people do nowadays. We start to decline around 50, and it's just a constant, steady decline into the grave. And that's not my goal. And I don't think that should be your goal. I think our goal should be, I continue at a very strong level of health, physical preparedness, and ability for many, many decades into the second half of my life. And then over the course of maybe, let's say, weeks or months, you decline into the grave. That would be much better than watching like I've watched my grandmother deteriorate over, months and years. It's terrible to watch, okay? So process-oriented, not event-oriented. Focus on habits and determining what season you're in. Adjusting your habits to fit the season you're in, but you never let go. You never let go of the habits that help move you forward. You never make excuses for why those habits are no longer useful. And if they're not, then you must replace them with something that is more useful. But remember, if you're not creating good habits, you're creating bad habits. There's no in between. All right? So you are important. Your health is important. What you do for a living is important. The people around you, who love you, are important, and you are important to them. The best thing you can do is be as healthy as you can for as long as you can to make a difference in the world, make a difference in the lives of those around you, and to continue to bring light and grace to other people. It's very difficult to do that if your health is always dragging you back. It's very difficult to do that if you're just waiting for the inevitable, or you're suffering from a mental health crisis because of your physical health, right? Or you're paying medical bills that are bankrupting you because of your poor choices in life, right? One of the number one reasons for bankruptcy in the United States is paying medical bills. Now, there are the cases where people, they have unforeseen, issues like cancer and things that we really can't mitigate. But diabetes, obesity, things like that, heart disease, those things can be mitigated significantly with making better choices. So why would you need, what a strain it would be to go bankrupt because of the poor choices you've been making, all right? So let's not do that to ourselves. Let's not do that to our families, all right? Let's start changing the way we view this process in life and thinking of it from a process mentality rather than event, okay? So go create some habits, go get some change in your life, and I promise you things are going to work out better for you, all right? Talk soon.